Hear ye, all thy heathens. We got a special announcement to make tonight. I can't believe my eyes. Is it real? It would appear that the one and only Dana White, the president of the UFC, has been caught on video beating his wife. Who cares, you say? The woke mob do. It's time to cancel it. Let's get into it.
Yo, call me Driscoll, aka Jesus Peace. Spitting scriptures that's in red, making Jesus speak. If you get that through your head, what your demons seek, it's the blood that these vampires need to drink, that bring the dead back to life, make it seem discreet. Man, these lives getting touched, I redeem the streets. Hit you deeper than that crack that these fiends can beat. It's the dawn of the dead, quarantine the streets.
Now, I'm not the one to get into a bunch of gossip and mess. But this time, they got the footage. And I got it here to show you, baby. If you don't know who Dana White is, again, he is the president of the UFC, which stands for Ultimate Fighting Championship. If you don't know what the UFC is, then you must completely live under a rock. But just for the sake of it, let me give you a quick glimpse into it.
That is huge. He clearly is way more powerful than Paul Herrera.
And quickly Herrera shoots the leg.
And Herrera's a very good grappler here. Oh
my, elbows in number by Goodridge.
This is the UFC. This is what it was before, what it became today with the intense regulations. Back then, it was no gloves. You wore whatever martial art you practiced attire was, and it was initially a competition to display which martial art worldwide was the most effective in a street fight environment. If you've known me for some time, then you ought to be very aware of this, because I've been into UFC long before it was a mainstream thing. When it was pay-per-view only, I was the only person that I knew when I was 15 years old. I was training in MMA. Ironically, it has now become the leading combat sport in America, arguably over boxing. So this is a big deal. This is a big name, a household name now he has become. So before we get into breaking this down and really dissecting it, casting judgment, because that's not what we're here for in the Church of Heathens. We're here to address heathen behavior and to find the culturally appropriate manner in which to view and deal with said behaviors, so we can ultimately produce the best results in society. Amen. Here's the footage. So as you can see, one important detail to note is that she did hit him first. Now, I know the feminists are going off. They're saying it does not matter. He's a man. He ought not put his hands on a woman. That's what we all were taught when we were little children. But it does matter. Technically, it matters. It can be viewed as self-defense. Now, to be all the way fair, he continued. It would appear that there was a push or some kind of continuation afterward, which it also appears that she took part in as well. One thing that's for certain, if nothing else, this is definitely a humbling experience for Dana White. Considering that back in 2014, the man himself told fighters, quote, "You never bounce back from putting your hands on a woman." Now he's facing calls to quit as UFC president after slapping his own wife on New Year's Eve. Funny how things come back around to haunt you. I wonder if Dana still stands by what he says. And if he does, then he arguably ought to lead by example and step down like they're asking. Why should Dana get to bounce back against his own advice? Also note that they were in what seems to be a nightclub. So I'm sure drinking, alcohol may have been involved as well, more than likely. And people are human. People have their issues. To realistically single this man out and act like he is one of the only people that this is happening to, that are in the mainstream with household names, would be completely foolish. But again, marriage is tough. When it comes to people's marriages, I tend to really be careful with my opinions. Now, we went over the facts. Everybody's going to have their moral stance. Cool. Here at the Church of Heathens, we love all heathens. We are not here to cast judgment and shame, but we are here to righteously view and correct the issues in society. I think if we're going to do anything, we need to counsel the both of them, because there's obviously problems in their marriage for either of them to think this type of behavior is okay, especially in the public eye when you have such a big name. Where this gets complicated is this. Nowadays, there is the argument of whether or not a man should ever respond to a woman's physical attack. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments, because it is debatable. We are not one-sided or monolithic on this issue anymore in 2023. There is the side that says women want equality. And this would appear to be one of the few, or I can't even say few, but one of the few areas that they do not want equality in, because it's not convenient to them, because obviously a man is bigger. We are more capable of hurting a female. So that is why society has typically always said protect women in this regard. But this is also a time where the women who being protected honored and respected men. They looked to us for protection. You did not have a culture of women that said we don't need men. We're better than men. We outperform you. We're capable of living in a world without you. So there's so many ways to look at this. But to be fair and reasonable to that argument, let's hear it from a woman herself break it down in exactly the way that most women today, I think, would see
women. He knows that if he hits her back, he's gonna get down for it. You understand? That is where now the old circumstantial things happen. But she's the one abusing him, and she's the one that's been abusing him.
He handled it
because she thought, she was like, you cannot hit me. You understand? That's what she's going with. She's like, you cannot hit me. You can do nothing to me. And I'll even call police on top of that. Do you understand? That's what she's thinking there.
When I saw that, all I was thinking is, to all the men out there that are being beat by women, if there's a camera, knock her to hell out. Because if he knew that there was a camera there, and after all that resisting, one bitch slap and she would have been down. And as far as I'm concerned, it's all on camera. So I can understand now why people would do things in front of cameras, why they want cameras up to protect themselves. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're getting abused and you're worried about how it's going to see, because there's enough cameras, I know it's America, but in the UK,
God damn.
Can I say, may I just add?
Just violence.
Oh my Lord.
Violence.
Personally,
listen,
slap for slap, innit?
she's talking about Mortal Kombat here.
Right,
equal laughs,
baby.
You know, I would say this goes back to the equity, not equality. Like I said, I would say the same way that goes for guns, same way it goes for a man. If that is happening, what you do, you get up and you leave. As a man, you're strong enough to either restrain her or to run away from her because you like running. And then if that man is doing that to you, just say like this, when it's done, you run.
Knock that. I swear to God, if my brother was being hit like that from a bitch, I swear to God, knock that bitch out. I swear to Jesus Christ.
The moment she lifts her hand and hits you, just run or just constrain her. You can hold her hands like this and be like, bitch, don't do this. You don't need to hit her.
If it's on camera, that bitch is hitting my brother like that. No, knock her out.
Yo, I would name
I have
the
no
punch.
sympathy. I don't care if you have to reconstruct your whole goddamn face. I don't. You shouldn't have hit. You shouldn't have hit first. You're not a child. You're a grown woman. If you were a grown,
it's one
thing
because one hit from a man can knock her and she'll die.
No, but
why does he have to be considerate for her after he's
she's under, and I'm an equal opportunity fighter.
No, and this is what I said. Equity, like a man. Let's not forget the fact that a man is way, way physically stronger than a woman.
That's why women ain't supposed to hit.
Wait. Listen. I get that. But this is what I'm just about to say. If that is the case, I think it's extremely irresponsible to tell somebody to do something like hit her back. That's just as hard.
Hey. I did not say hit her back. I said knock that bitch out.
Which is even worse. Let me tell you. You know, like, do you know?
Don't put the wrong words in her mouth.
For me, it's who hit first. Don't hit first. Be expected to hit back because it's instinct. When someone comes for you, what did you say? I'll come for you back. I'll come for you back. When in London, everybody does that. You're going to go from the back.
See?
No.
So much to unpack. Now, let's start with the woman who's told men the rules of what to do. I find it so laughable when I see women so confidently sitting in a matter-of-factly type posture, instructing men on how to handle themselves in situations. The utter disrespect for masculinity in society was on full display right there, and it's just so subtle and it's obnoxious to watch, because in the same breath, while you're telling men what we ought to do with no wiggle room for a man to offer to you his reality or perspective, you're also acknowledging that you by default are weaker than him. I'm going to say something provocative. Could we imagine a world where the people who were weaker than you actually had to respect you because of it? When you were a king back in biblical times, there was no police to call on you. And you never seen that type of posture from the women who understood you had the power. It was better to be on your side, because if I'm on your side, you're going to protect me. You're going to use that power in my favor. But the audacity of today's woman to think they can restrain and direct your power because they have a police force that they can turn to, it's a problem. Fellas, you ought to exist in a world where your woman respects you because you're a man. This simple understanding that you can break her jaw, like the young lady said, should be enough reason why her hands never leave her side to come anywhere near you. If she knows that I can hit you and call the police or keep you restrained by the fear of it, and will use that to her advantage, and you are still with her, you're playing a dangerous game. Check it. Some things I don't let the law extend beyond in my life. That will be checked. Because point blank, period, that is an unfair way of living. And it's cowardly on a female's part. The same way they say it's cowardly for a man to hit a woman, I'll agree there. If a man just cock back and hits a woman unprovoked, that is cowardly. But on the same perspective, if a woman hits a man because she's in public and knows he can't retaliate, or that it will be used against him, or that he'll be asked to step down from his $500 million position because someone's seen it, that's a garbage female. It's cowardly, it's trash, and she ought not have a masculine leader. She should not be rewarded with your strength, your provision, or anything else that you have to offer that young lady. We got to stop giving these types of women attention. The same way Pearl, and shout out to Just Pearly Things for that amazing video. The same way she broke down, if that was her brother, she would want to see that woman in a stretcher. The older lady, Aunt Jenny, shout out to her as well. Love her content. She said the same thing. Now, here at the Church of Heathens, I am a heathen. And I would like to believe most of the people who are viewing this are as well. But I do have the Spirit of Christ in me, and I'm a little more gentle in my approach to this. I don't want to see women in stretchers. I do think it's men's job to protect them. With that said, a part of protection is submission. You don't get to call the police and ask them to come help you with something, and then you get in their way and you obnoxiously prevent them from being able to do it. Ladies, especially my black women that say protect black women. Black women are the most unprotected. You want to be protected? Then you better start submitting. Because the two don't exist without one another. It's that simple. The minute men have the proper respect for our masculine leadership, I'm giving you the game. You will naturally see a change in the way that he treats you, in his desire to protect you. It'll become a need for him to keep you safe. It's just how we respond to femininity. But all that masculine, you're going to have to, because you can either do this or do that. No, sweetheart. Just because you think you got the right to tell me as a grown man what I can do and give me two options, I'm going to do option 3 and 4 just to show you who really in charge. And just to show you that I'm such a man in my heart, in my desire to not be restrained by garbage standards in society, that I don't care about what you think makes you safe, your authority or police force. And I'm the same way when it comes to my children, when it comes to fathering. There are certain things that I just do not let dictate my life. I'm the same way when it came to that jab that everybody try to virtue signal and push at us. I'm the same way with any jab now when it comes to my kids. There's certain things I'm not submitting to. We don't do deliveries in hospitals no more. We have made up my mind that anything that is restrictive and restraining my right to lead my family the way that I see fit by God's grace, I will do everything in my power to fight against it. It's time out for men laying down to this garbage in society. We got to stand up for what's right. And what's right is don't put your hands on nobody that you don't want to be hit by. Can the church say amen? All my fellow heathens, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment. Let us know what you think, how you would approach the situation. It's easy to say what we would or wouldn't do. I don't know what I would do in this scenario, honestly. In public, drinks in our system. He didn't know the camera was watching, I'm sure. I don't know what I would do. But one thing I do know, I will never be with the lady that thinks it's okay to put her hands on me under any circumstance. God bless you. Grace to y'all. Have an amazing day. You have once again tuned in to the Church of Heathens. God bless.
If you can only look beyond the surface and see the purpose. Look beyond the surface. I never told the world that I was perfect, but God is working. Come on. They don't understand the life I live. They don't understand the life I live.